Were you confused or intrigued by the latest Northwood video on SCP Secret Laboratory? Well, so was I. I'm very intrigued by the story that they are currently crafting and the lore that they are creating. So, if you'd like to learn more about the video that just came out on their YouTube channel and what's next for SCP-SL, then stick around. Their newest video starts off in some sort of office space that has a computer and what looks like a radio. Soon, we zoom in and see the IKEA logo. And IKEA is a manufacturing brand in the game that appears on the radios. As we see the radio power on, we hear a voice call out to Site-44. This voice is Site-12 Director Dr. Vidya Durrani. They are calling out to Site-44 Director Carter C. Carter. After getting no response, Assistant Director Rowan Douglas comes on the radio. He says that they are no longer in contact. A little bit later on, they think they get something on the radio, and it turns out to be transmission from Site-44 of just gunfire and indiscriminate voices chattering. This is most likely a chaos raid on the site, with their goal being to kill all the Foundation members that are there and take any of the SCPs or items that they find that will be useful to their goals. We then hear of Site-12's MTF, Omicron 10. They were unable to find any of the Gamma 4, aka the Green Stags, on site. The Green Stags are Site-44's MTF that are in charge of dealing with the various SCPs on site. They were most likely killed off in the raid. Dr. Durrani then mentions that the previous Site-45 was taken down, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. He then mentions that a Bregman is responsible, but Douglas comes in to tell her that she needs to refocus on what she can do for their site. They need to let Site-02 know, the site of SCP-SL, and the Assistant Director know. Alarms begin to blare as their site begins to be breached, and they are immediately without power or their NTFs. The feed abruptly cuts, with their fates being left up in the air. But we can assume, as with Site-44, their site will be taken down soon after. So now that we know about this situation that's happening at Site-44 and Site-12, let's rewind a bit to some of the previous lore that was given to us in-game and see how these two relate. Let's then go to a desk in Heavy where we find an email on a computer along with a postcard, a letter, and a video log. So starting from the right side, we see a news article of an event at a Sea Breeze coastal pump. The article goes through with some quotes from survivors. Trevor Wright, who may be a scientist, D-boy, or something of the matter. We currently don't know. He's just a name that was thrown into the article. And we get a quote from one of the rescuers that they were very happy with the quick responses from the higher up. But we know that this article is a bit of a facade because the Seabreeze Coastal Pumps is actually the face for Site-45. Under Site-45, under that rig, we have about 5 blocks that contain various SCPs, D-boys, facility members, along with a checkpoint tunnel that leads to an outside exit and then an admin building. The next image we have is an emergency alert. This is from Site-45 that was hinted on in the video. It's dated August 9th, 2023. At around 12:54, you can see that this would have been broadcasted throughout the facility. So we can assume that this took place a little bit after the initial breach. You can see the image talks about proceeding with evacuation procedures. Several Keter-class SCP seem to have been disturbed during on-site transferring, and MTF are being dispatched for recovery. We can see that the Chaos, who are doing this raid, have managed to take out Block E, critically damage Blocks B and D, and then make Block C go offline. So why do they target these blocks? That's because that's where the SCPs are located. It's stated that Blocks B and D were only critically damaged and not taken out. So I'm going to assume that the SCPs in these specific blocks are still contained. However, the SCPs in Block C, which are 127, 2424, 1577, and 439, along with Block E's SCP-466, are on the loose. They're in the wild or they are taken under Chaos control. And the last for visual clues, we've got the email about the Site-45 incident. This email is from Lucas R. Bregman, Assistant Director of ETTRA, the Emergent Threat Tactical Response Authority, Division of Unknown. It's blocked out. This email is written to a bunch of sites, including the one based on SCP-SL-02, along with a bunch of other ones that are blocked out for, I assume, confidentiality reasons, about the Southern Hemisphere security updates. The following email details the various products and SCPs that are going to the sites 12, 44, and 1 unknown. They're to be viewed only by Site-02 personnel, and Site-02 will hold all future information on the matter. It also states that this decision must be upheld for all of those involved, otherwise disciplinary action will be given out. Finally, we have a voice recording.
Theta Command, this is MTF-35, approaching the designated AO for Site-45, over. Theta Command, this is Theta-5 lead, please advise point of insertion, over.
Theta 5 lead, proceed past the Austro
In this voice recording, we heard MTF-35 enter Site-45, and an additional voice that's a little bit hard to hear. It's hard to make out what exactly they're stating. And in the background, we hear large explosions being played. So, now that we've described these two big pieces of lore and information that we've gotten in the game, what could be next? My assumption is that the Chaos Insurgency will slowly start taking over all the sites, or at least most of the majority ones, or at least the ones that hold the SCPs that they need to further their goals. Site 91 is also located in the UK, where Site 44 and Site 12 are located, so that would be my next logical guess, because it's the closest to this two, and probably be the easiest because they have all their manpower right there. Next, we have who I assume to be a focal character for the next bit of the story, Lucas Bregman. He was the catalyst for the transferring of 6 SCPs just days after Site 45's takedown, which led to Site 44 and 12 falling. My assumption here is that he is either going to be a rat within the organization who's giving all these information to the Chaos, because as we know, with Chaos, they are some of the Foundation members who defected and want different goals than what the Foundation wants. Or it's a random person within the organization who we don't know about is giving the Chaos information. My final theory or guess on where this is going is that one of the SCPs from these sites could be coming to the game soon. In a recent interview on Kadava's channel, X3J, who is the marketing manager, mentioned that something coming out in the future already has hints in game. My guess is that the SCP is going to be coming from Site 45 because that was the only thing in game that was out at the time of the interview. Another big reason is because there's actually 2 more pieces of things on the desk that point to something happening with Site 45. On one of the cards, we see a Foundation symbol with 45 in the middle and a bunch of wind swirling around it. On the other one, there is text, "No one knows what's out there. We're sitting ducks," with a bunch of different pictures. From what I can tell, some of the pictures correspond to SCPs from Site 45 specifically. Others kind of don't really have a match. The ones that do match, we have SCP 2424, 439, 321, and 1577 and 2501. So SCP 2424 is the walrus pictured. He's an SCP that has extra flippers, cybernetic attachments, a mouth cannon, a little bit larger. Pretty cool. SCP-439 is potentially the skull pictured. It's life form that enters a user's mouth and sprouts a bunch of bone growth and produces lots of offspring. SCP-321 is probably one of the humanoid pictures. This SCP is a child brought to life, and they have insane healing capabilities. They don't move around as much or like do anything, and they're slow to learn. And then SCPs 1577 and 2501 could be the source of the wind, if that means anything. SCP-1577 is a flare gun that spawns a jet that moves extremely quickly and drops a crate with supplies. And then SCP-2501 is a gauntlet that, when worn, can produce immense amount of pressure. So, based on all these SCPs that I think are listed on the postcards, my best guess, it would be SCP-2424. Who wouldn't want to be a walrus going around shooting missiles at everybody, gunning people down with a giant laser beam? That just sounds sick. So that's the one that I want the most. To be honest, I could see it being like the flare that spawns items. That's also a pretty like game-friendly SCP that comes in. Or it could be none of these. All of these could just be like red herrings. The pictures mean nothing. It could be the duck SCP that just exists and is like it's a duck. It really could be anything or nothing. So that's all I've got up until new lore pieces drop or new discoveries are made. Do you guys agree with me? Do you guys agree with what I found here? Or do you think there could be other things going on? Be sure to leave a comment down below. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. Have a good day, everybody. Peace out.